So you want to grow your cosmetic dental practice using content. You've probably heard everyone say the same thing. Just post educational content, answer questions, and build authority. And that advice is right. But here's what nobody really explains. Most dentists are posting educational content that sounds intelligent but doesn't actually convert. They'll share facts that are technically impressive, and they'll explain procedures in clinical language, and they'll talk about things that are true but are not emotionally relevant. And then they wonder why nobody books. Educational content is one of the most powerful tools that you have, but it only works when you're answering the questions that people are already worried about. Today, I'm going to walk you through what patients are actually thinking and how to answer those concerns properly, and how to turn that attention into consultations. Because we're not creating content to sound smart. We're creating content to build trust and to get patients through the door. Educational content works for one simple reason. And that reason is that clarity builds trust. When somebody is considering veneers, bonding, or a smile makeover, they're not just excited, they're uncertain. They're thinking about the pain, longevity, whether it will look fake, whether their teeth will be shaved down, whether they're about to spend a significant amount of money and regret it. And those thoughts don't get posted publicly, but they're there. And when you speak directly to them, you immediately separate yourself from the other dentists just posting before and afters. When somebody finds your video explaining calmly and clearly how veneers actually work, they start to feel like they know you, and that's powerful. You also position yourself as the authority without having to say that you're the authority. When you simplify something confusing, people naturally assume that you know what you're doing. And unlike promotional content, educational content compounds. A video answering a real concern can bring in views and inquiries for months or even years later. People will continue searching the same questions if your explanation is clear. So, educational content isn't just something that you should post. It's one of the smartest long-term assets you can build in your practice, but only if it's done properly. Here is where most dentists are getting it wrong. They answer what they find interesting instead of what patients are actually worried about. You don't need a list of 50 topics. In fact, that just overwhelms yourself and your audience. When you really think about it, most cosmetic consultations revolve around the same core themes. Patients want to know if veneers are safe and whether they damage their natural teeth. They want to know how long they last and what happens if something goes wrong. They want reassurance that their smile won't look fake. They want to understand the difference between bonding and porcelain. And eventually, they want the clarity around the cost. Not just a number, but why it costs what it does. And that's it. If you build content around those core concerns, you'll never run out of ideas. And here's the important mindset shift. When someone clicks book a consultation, the only thing that's happening at that stage is they're giving you their contact information. Your content's job is to warm them up enough that booking feels like a logical next step. And when you're consistently answering the questions that's already in their head, reaching out doesn't feel risky, it feels safe. So instead of trying to be impressive, focus on being reassuring. Now let's talk about how to actually deliver this. Not in a robotic formula, but in a way that feels natural. Start by saying the concern out loud. When you verbalize the actual fear someone has, they instantly feel understood. For example, do veneers ruin your natural teeth? Then answer it directly, don't drag it out. No, veneers don't ruin your teeth when they're done properly. Now you've kept their attention. Then explain it to them the same way that you would in the consult room. You might say something like, porcelain veneers are thin restorations bonded to the front surface of the tooth. When you see extreme videos online where teeth are shaved down to tiny pegs, those are crowns, and that's a different procedure entirely. Veneers, when done conservatively, preserve most of your natural structure. That explanation right there does three things. It corrects the misinformation, it demonstrates expertise, and it removes the fear. If you can add a short real-world example, something simple like, I had a patient recently who was nervous because of something that she saw online, and once I explained the difference and showed her the process, she felt completely comfortable. And at the end, invite them forward. If you're thinking about veneers and want to see if you're a good candidate, you can book a consultation through the link in my bio. It feels helpful and not pushy. For short-form content, keep it tight and clear. For YouTube, you can expand slightly and go deeper, but the structure stays the same. Acknowledge the fear, answer it clearly, explain calmly, and guide them forward. Now let's talk about consistency. This is where most practices struggle. They post a few videos and don't see instant results, so they stop. But educational content isn't about one viral hit. It's about repetition. When somebody sees you once, you're just another dentist in their feed. But when they see you repeatedly explaining things clearly, you start to feel familiar. And familiarity builds trust faster than anything else. The practical side of this is simple. Block out time and batch your content. Film multiple answers in one session. and keep the setup clean and professional but not overproduced. Then distribute it consistently across platforms. Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Facebook. If you want long-term search traffic, expand some of those topics into longer YouTube videos. And here's the key, volume matters. Not because of ego, but because repetition increases exposure. The more consistently you show up answering real concerns, the more likely patients are to remember you when they're ready. Now let's connect this to actual bookings. Here's what typically happens. Someone finds one of your educational videos, they watch it, it answers something that they were unsure about. They click your profile, and if your profile clearly states what you do and who you help, it's easy to book a consultation. You've removed the friction. They'll likely watch more of your content, and this is why having multiple videos matter. The more that they consume, the more that the trust will compound. And if you're running ads, you can retarget people who watch your videos and offer something simple like a free virtual consultation or a smile assessment. The goal at this stage isn't pressure, it's lowering the barrier so that they can take the next step comfortably. And by the time that they book, they don't feel cold and they feel informed. Here's something that you'll start noticing when you do this consistently. People will comment that they finally understand the process, and they'll say that your explanation made them feel at ease. Some will even say that they've decided to book purely because of your videos. And that is the power of educational content done properly. Okay, so let's simplify this. Educational content works when it removes uncertainty, it focuses on the real concerns that the patients bring into the consult room, and that would be things like safety, longevity, appearance, process, and cost. And you need to answer those clearly. Speak like you would to a nervous patient in the chair and keep it consistent. If you want something practical to do this week, pick up 5 of the most common concerns you hear in consultations. Book out some time and film answers to each one, and don't overcomplicate it. Don't wait until it's perfect. Start. Because your competitors aren't necessarily better dentists, they're just more visible. And in today's market, the dentist who communicates clearly and consistently often wins. If this helped you, subscribe for more strategies just like this. And if you want help building a content system that consistently fills up your schedule, the link is in the description. Now go film some videos.